Thank you. I'm so honored to be here in your milk mission. So, to give you guys a little bit of backstory, when Jody told me about this and she wanted me to give it a go, I was like, no. Being Indian, as an Indian, my dad's Indian. So, growing up, they put milk in everything. Like, my dad would mix milk with Coca Cola and then it would all of a sudden be healthy. Like, that was gross, right? So gross. But this is the mentality in the Indian culture, at least it was then. And I was also like mostly vegan at the time, but obviously I couldn't speak to this and support her mission unless I did it. Sure enough, I did it. And by day three, I'm like, I feel really great. I haven't experienced any bloating, zero bloating. And I think for most of us women, like, what a freaking gift that is, right? But the awareness is that we get so used to living with these symptoms, which I'll get to, until they're gone. And then we experience this sense of freedom, right? So that's why I really stand behind this mission. And I know I'm the person who's like, milk, ew, goat milk, ew. But I stand behind this. And it comes into everyone's life for a reason at the right time, I believe, too. So, yeah. So let's get right into it. For the people who are on camera, feeling okay? Feeling okay? Feeling good? Thumbs up. I like this. This is great. Some of you, most of you are on the home stretch. By now, you should be feeling a little bit more energy, maybe some more mental clarity. And as I said, for me, just that subtle ease of digestive ease, because we don't realize how much we actually have to digest in our lives. And mono cleanses, which I'll speak more to, are so powerful because they activate your body's healing system, its inherent healing system, which is always working. And it's our birthright to feel our best. But we get so connected to living with symptoms that we forget about that. And our bodies are designed to heal automatically, right? And we forget and we criticize our bodies. And some of us, we speak really poorly to our bodies. As a woman, I know you've been there. You've criticized your stomach, your butt, your thighs, your arms, whatever it is. And yet here we are as these walking, talking miracles with our bodies working for us 24/7, healing for us, trying to help us, trying to get us through the day. And yet we kind of just dismiss it. We throw things down the hatch, just expecting our bodies to deal, right? And so the beauty behind this is that now you're kind of awake to these symptoms, which is your body's communication with you, all right? So, for those of you here who don't know me, my name is Mona Sharma. So, I'm a nutritionist, I'm a wellness educator. I'm living in Los Angeles now. I'm originally from Toronto. I'm also the founder of a functional beverage drink called jicama, which is based on the root vegetable jicama. And really, my whole purpose around how I help my clients heal is helping them heal mind, body, and spirit. And I'm still on my healing journey, right? For people who think that I have it figured out already, I don't. I'm still healing, still working on it, still figuring out what my body needs. But the funny thing is that, I've come a really, really long way on this journey. And when my health was at its worst, I was going hardcore. I was hardcore working out. I was hardcore dieting. I was trying to fix the things about my body, doing all the trends and the gimmicks and the diets and stuff like that. But what I was really lacking in is self compassion and self love, which is basically the environment that our bodies need to be able to even think about healing. So, to give you a bit more of a glimpse, my life about 10 years ago looked very different. For over a decade, I worked for a handful of luxury beauty companies in the corporate world. So, brands like Christian Dior and Tom Ford and Bobbi Brown. And while it sounds really fun and beautiful and glamorous on one side, my health was really suffering. It was that typical corporate scenario. And I started to burn out in that world. And as a result, I had debilitating anxiety. I was overweight. I had major digestive issues. I had PCOS. Doctors told me at 28 years old that I was going to have a hard time having kids, if I could even have kids. And this is at the time that I was doing that hardcore stuff that I mentioned. And the kicker is that I also had two heart surgeries for debilitating heart palpitations that left me feeling like I was going to pass out. They put me on beta blockers. I was about 40 pounds heavier at that time. And the crazy thing is, though, the medical community, they instantly wanted to take care of my symptoms. They wanted my symptoms to stop. So I'm never bashing our medical community. They're doing their job. They want to make the symptoms go away. But for me, that meant putting me on medication that I didn't need and then rushing me into a surgery without asking about my actual heartache that was happening at that time, my emotional stress, my diet, the fact that doing the Atkins diet and doing hardcore hit exercises every single day probably wasn't a good thing for me for my pitta constitution, which we'll hear about. So I call it a band-aid solution, right? And this is the biggest difference between functional medicine today and Western medicine. We need to find a balance between both worlds. So thank God our Western medicine doctors are finally starting to learn about nutrition, which is crazy, right? So the irony behind my story is that I actually knew better, because growing up, I mentioned that my dad is Indian, my mom is Danish from Denmark, and I've only ever known my mom to suffer from debilitating rheumatoid arthritis. So autoimmune disease really stole her from me. And with my father's Indian insight and awareness of Ayurveda, he would take us to live at this ashram. It's the Shivananda ashram. Ashrams are basically spiritual centers where they focus on food and Ayurveda and meditation and being in community and connecting with nature and feeling stillness, like kind of closing all the tabs that are open in your brain so that you can actually listen to your body and heal what needs to be taken care of. So I grew up with this. It makes no sense that I went through that like roller coaster of health issues. But I did, right? I kind of just went and partied, because having your dad tap you at 5:30 in the morning when you're an 8-year-old to meditate is like torture, right? But sure enough, this is my journey, and this led me back to my roots and perhaps made my story a little bit more powerful. So as much as I would love all of you to experience ashram life, specifically the one in the Bahamas, there's one on Paradise Island. I hope that you can get there one day. It is pure magic. I want you to really kind of tune in today to what these ancient practices are. I really don't think that there's any coincidence with the birth of Jyoti's company and the fact that Ayurvedic rituals and trends are gaining in popularity because people are looking for solutions, right? And for people here who don't know about Ayurveda, I'll just do the Coles notes. So Ayurveda basically is a health system that's over 5,000 years old. Ayurveda literally means the science of life or knowledge of life. And it's not just about the body, it addresses all aspects of our life, our constitution, which is our mind, our body, and our spirit, in order to feel harmony. When's the last time you guys felt harmony? Crazy, right? We don't wake up feeling harmony every day because we get used to being out of balance. And Ayurveda really acknowledges this. And it's gaining a lot of attention because people are tired of dieting. People are tired of the quick fixes, tired of not feeling well, and they want to go deeper. And this idea of aligning your spirit and how spirit kind of comes into play, it's kind of like ultimately a return to self, because you're nourishing everything, you're feeling good. And it's also acknowledging, this is probably the biggest takeaway that I hope you all understand. We're all looking for the perfect solution, the perfect diet, the perfect exercise regime for us. But you guys, we're changing every single day. Our bodies change. Right now, your body is changing. It's digesting, it's metabolizing, it's, processing everything. So unlike modern medicine, Ayurveda focuses on honoring your personal constitution, and really your constitution is as unique as your thumbprint, okay? So think about that when you hear the next diet trend or exercise routine or whatever it is. Just tell yourself, well, does it honor this? Okay, because you're not like everybody else. So Ayurveda really focuses on what your constitution is, and this is your doshas. So, your doshas, I'm sure a lot of you are practicing things already to honor your doshas, but to break that down, there are 5 elements. So there's ether, space, air, fire, water, and earth. And according to Ayurveda, the composition of these elements is what makes us who we really are. So they really categorize 3 specific doshas. So the first one is the Vata dosha. Vata dosha is a combination of air and space. There is the Pitta dosha. Pitta dosha is a combination of fire and water. And then the Kapha dosha, which is the combination of water and earth. Cool. It's really cool to see how we're connected to these. So we all manifest to each dosha, okay? You're a little bit of everything, but most of us have a dominant 1 or 2 doshas that make us really unique. And it really kind of helps us categorize our mental and our physical and our emotional characteristics. So, understanding your dosha can really help you understand what lifestyle practices are best for you. If you're the type of person who should go to bed early or not, if you should have coffee or not, what foods, what types of movement, and what mindfulness techniques are really suited to you so that you know how to prevent imbalance or recognizing when you're in imbalance, how to go back to feeling balance again. Because imbalance in our doshas for a long time um, is really what we say the cause of illness, of digestive issues, of skin problems, of insomnia. For me, I'm sure of my heart palpitations at that time. So, and by the way, if you're curious about understanding for sure what your doshas are, um, who doesn't love quizzes, right? You can do a quiz. So you can go to, I don't know if it's, I think it's just chopra.com, but Deepak Chopra on his website has a really simple one. You'll get a drop into your inbox right away. So chopra.com, dosha test. So when we understand our dosha, you'll understand which part of you is out of balance and why. So let's just put this back to you. And I'm sure that asking this question is probably part of the reason that you were drawn to the milk cleanse. So I can't see everybody. If you want to put it in the chat box, if you want to put your hand up, whatever it is. But I'm just curious, how many people here suffer from bloating, from poor sleep, from fatigue, from irritability, from irregular bowel movements, pre-milk cleanse, low sex drive, skin issues, if I didn't say that already, irregular menstrual cycles, lack of motivation? So, typically when I ask these questions in a room of people, by the time I'm through this short list, every single person's hand is up in the air, right? And here's the thing, I address these balances every single day with the clients that I work with one-on-one, but we have to understand that just because all of these symptoms are common, it does not mean that they are normal. Again, it's communication from your body to indicate some level of suffering, that it's time for you to pay attention, time for you to make some changes. Otherwise, what happens, it's like driving a car with the red light, engine light flashing, and you're just trying to make it an extra mile and make it an extra mile. And unfortunately, like me, I kept driving with that red light on until I actually hit burnout and crashed. So we call this accumulation the cause of imbalance or dis-ease. And dis-ease, which is all of those symptoms, leads to disease and illness today. And the cool thing is that science today is proving that you can change your gene expression. You can actually reverse backwards. I don't know if you guys know that. You can age backwards. So your biological age versus your chronological age, it's called a telomere test. You can actually have a body that is younger than your chronological age, which is really cool. And we notice that we can lengthen these telomere cells with changes to our diet and our lifestyle and mindfulness techniques, which is so cool. So science is like backing up all of these mindfulness hacks, right? And it's no longer about accepting that we have to live with imbalance. Or, for me, for the past 15 years, I've been so worried about getting my mom's disease because it's hereditary. And I've seen it in my family and I've seen her suffer, and I don't want to get it. And I don't want to have that issue around my kids. Until my, friend and Ayurvedic practitioner said to me, well, what do you think about all this worrying? What do you think all this worrying is doing for your body? If you're worried and constantly thinking about this rheumatoid arthritis, like, do you not think that you're communicating and telling your body that you're thinking about it all the time? It's like attracting what you don't want to get, right? I thought that was a really good point, because worry and fear represents this really low vibration. And when we're in this state of worry and tension and fear and these constant thoughts that aren't serving us, then guess what? Our body responds to that. And, it's about shifting your decisions every single day. And I'm not saying that I'm the person that wakes up with joy and happiness and woohoo every day as the result of having this awareness. But I know that when I hang out a little bit too long in those areas, that, oh yeah, I'm getting a little bit more bloated, or I have some more food cravings, or for me, I actually get some swelling and tension in my joints. And in Ayurveda, we say that a lot of this emotional worry and stress manifests in our joints. It's fascinating. So with Ayurveda, like I said, you have to understand everything, food and beverages. It's also what we listen to, what we watch, our thoughts, our habits, and we consume so much more than what we eat. So if we're digesting all of these things, It's it's really knowing that you are not only what you eat, it's what you digest, what you absorb, what you process, what you metabolize, what you listen to with all of your senses. Okay, so think about it. What have you digested today? What have you eaten? What have you smelled? What have you watched? What have you listened to? What have you touched? Your body holds on to that. So, what are you made of? If we're not processing our food properly, processing our thoughts and our emotions and our surrounding efficiently, what happens is that we accumulate too much toxic food, toxic thoughts, toxic friendships without clearing space, and we become sick. We accumulate too much, which is kind of like, a sink that's clogged, right? We ignore that clog and we try to make it through until all of a sudden it overflows and it stops working. And as a nutritionist working with some pretty amazing clients, so Will Smith and somebody else named Hrithik Roshan, I had two really great, powerful conversations with them because they were really turned on about this idea of like food is medicine. It's not food is like medicine. It's it's almost like they just heard it. Food is medicine. Food is fuel. It was really powerful for them because it really shifts your entire perspective of what you're consuming. Food is obviously about enjoyment. That's why Ayurveda, we recognize all of the different taste buds, right? It's amazing. We have different taste buds to crave sweet and sour and salty and bitter and astringent so that we can enjoy it. But we also have to understand that, with this food as information, when you think about what you're consuming in terms of your meals, is your food colorful and vibrant and nutrient dense and, fresh? Or are you consuming products typically that come from boxes that have a long food list ingredient label, right? Because what that tells you is what you're made of. Do you want to be made of vibrant, whole, energetic, full bodied foods? Or do you want to be made of processed, boxed, dead foods, right? You get to decide because the food is information. So bringing this all around to the power of cleansing. So when we think about that, cleansing, it helps us process all of these imbalances that I've mentioned. This idea of accumulation, all the things that you have accumulated since you were inside your mother's womb, goes back that far. They would even say that it goes into past lives, but I don't have that training, so I won't talk about that. But mono cleanses, mono cleanses have been used forever. They see them as an opportunity for your body to take a break, to take ease, to nourish, to replenish, to give ease to the digestive system so that it can repair. We often forget that the act of digestion actually takes a tremendous amount of energy. So if you were a snacker before, someone who would graze throughout the day constantly, but you also find that you're a kind of person that's tired or fatigued, well, guess that your body's burning tons of energy throughout the day, simply trying to keep up with digesting all of those foods. So when you go back into eating after this cleanse, notice what it's like to eat, feel satiated, feel full, take in all that energy, and then take a break. Allow your body to work. Use that fuel that you just consumed so that you can create more energy for your day. Your body is just so intelligent and it's incredibly working every single day in, day out, overnight. It processes everything that it inputs. And it's also trying to eliminate all of the harmful substances, right? So when we think about our bodies are also inundated with all types of stressors. Not only our everyday stress, especially within the past year, but environmental toxins, unresolved emotions, psychological stress, to name a few, inevitably, attempting to digest it all. And we accumulate this level of toxicity. So I don't know if you guys have also noticed what your tongue is like. So through this mono cleanse, in the morning, take a close look at your tongue and how your tongue shifts every day. So we often look at the tongue first in Ayurveda to really understand what your digestion is like, the power of your liver and your kidneys as well to really understand that level of accumulation. If you don't have a tongue scraper, I highly suggest that when you're doing a milk cleanse, because of the sugars and the fat in the milk, scrape your tongue every morning and every night. You can order them on Amazon for like $5. They're amazing. You'll never go back. It's like my one deserted island product that I would take. So when you're giving your body this break, and congratulations for doing this, because it does take a certain mindset to do it. But if you've made it past the third, fourth, and fifth day, you realize, well, wow, I can do this, right? You have to direct the mind and what the body needs. So this is the idea behind an Ayurvedic cleanse, to really minimize the variety of complexity of inputs and potential toxins so that the body can rest, recuperate, reset, and repair. That's what you're doing for your bodies and your mind right now. When we think about all of these inputs that we're set up against, we understand that the power of cleansing as a ritual throughout the year can be very beneficial. What I love about milk is that you've got this perfect combination of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. You guys notice that you haven't really been too hungry between the milk if you're drinking enough milk? It's pretty amazing, right? Like I thought that I would be starving. I eat these pretty big meals, and I prefer a mono cleanse like this or khichdi, which I'll speak to, because it's not putting your body into stress. And often, with a lot of the clients that I work with who will do these hardcore juice cleanses, their pitta, their fire, just starts going to high alert. It affects their nervous system because your body literally feels like it's starving. And then your blood sugar also is going in and out of balance because it's spiking your blood sugar, affecting your cortisol. So juicing occasionally, by the way, can be very therapeutic, but I'm just considering this when we think about fasting, because that's the traditional. It's also so common to us here in LA. So this is why in Ayurveda, we consider fasting something that is vital to our lifestyle, because it improves our energy. It allows us to show up with strength, boost our immune system, and really focus on having this renewed sense of love for our life, but also focusing on something called our dharma, which you probably know, but is our purpose in life, right? We have to optimize the vessel. If you continue to optimize the vessel, then you'll be more powerful in your specific dharma. Now, the messaging behind this is that in Ayurveda, the cleanse, it improves the strength of what is called your Agni. So your Agni is your metabolic fire. It is your entire GI tract through the body. And this is the tract that's responsible for purifying and digesting, right? And it sees a balanced, healthy Agni, this digestive fire, as the most important requirement to achieve optimal health. Well, why? Because if you have a sluggish digestive system, for example, if you suffer from poor hydrochloric acid in your stomach, you're not going to really instigate that first key level of digestion. Then that food goes on to have to be digested, which puts a little bit more stress on the rest of the system. You're not absorbing all of those nutrients. So we really want to have powerful Agni. For those of you who have been drinking cold milk, try warming it up, especially before bed or first thing in the morning, perhaps when your adrenals need a little bit more support. If you haven't felt it already, and I'm curious, some of you, it might have stirred up some emotions. So it's important to be prepared for this emotional cleansing that comes with it. If you haven't done it already, I can't even, tell you how much I believe in the power of journaling. So journaling, although it might feel uncomfortable, you don't know what to write, it might feel like, this practice as a little kid, you have to write something that's dramatic, but just write what comes to mind. Ask yourself this one simple question. How am I feeling? How are you feeling? And then maybe you'll start to be comfortable to actually ask your body, how are you feeling today? Really tune in. This idea of mindfulness. It's not sitting and meditating for 30 minutes all the time. It's really just the act of being in tune, being mindful about how your body feels so that you know how to navigate and honor your constitution. All right. So I certainly remember, day 1, 2, and 3 for me is ideally when a lot of this kind of mind chatter comes up, crazy monkey brain. I felt like I didn't have direction or anything. So it's important that you honor your body. And I think it's just crazy that we're never taught to love ourselves, right? To love our bodies. Isn't that nuts? We're given this one beautiful miracle of a body for our entire life, but we're never taught to love it. Instead, we live in a society that teaches it how to criticize, how to do better, shift it, make it look better, go for surgeries and operations and diets and workouts to change it. We always want to change, instead of this focus on nourishment and feeling good. So through journaling, ask how you want your mind and body to feel. How do you want your energy to feel every day? How are you going to acknowledge your symptoms if you don't know what they stem from? And that way, every day, if you notice that you're waking up with anxiety, the first thing for you to do is, you know what, I can't check my phone this morning. I need to go and have a really soothing cup of tea and go for a 5-minute walk around the block. And then I can reset and come back into my life and be more powerful. This is your guiding light question. Okay. So whether you are deciding what to eat, what to read, what to watch, what friend to hang with, what business opportunity to take on, what vacation to go on, try this one question. Will this fuel me in the vision of myself that I want to create and how I want to feel in this life? Or will doing this, will eating this, listening to this, watching this deplete me and take me away from the version of myself that I'm trying to create in my life? And it's a guiding light question because remember, if you're digesting with all of your senses, it's going to impact you. So I can hear some of you already are saying, well, what if the chocolate ice cream doesn't fuel the version of myself that I want to create, but I just like my chocolate ice cream? Then enjoy the chocolate ice cream, because the guilt over the chocolate ice cream is going to be worse than just enjoying it. But this is that rule, like, you know, in Ayurveda, the swamis at the ashram, they would laugh. And swamis, by the way, there was always ice cream at the ashram because they would always go for scoops of ice cream at the end of the day. So it's not about deprivation. When you start honoring your taste buds and honoring your body, you never really feel deprived. When you break up with food addiction, if you guys have any addiction to chocolate or chips, or for me, it's always crackers, these food companies are paid, they're paying food scientists big, 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 big money to be highly addictive, okay? So that they make you go back to the food stores and buy more of them, right? Even if you're shopping at places like Whole Foods or health food stores, these labels, all natural, good for you, gluten-free, dairy-free, house of free, everything, does not mean that they are good for you. It's food marketing, right? And, you know, we now know that when we look at the brain on certain foods, gluten, for example, it triggers the same areas of the brain that are responding to drugs. So never underestimate the power of the food to be addictive. So with my clients who are trying to lose weight, even despite their best efforts, you know, they still have a hard time. But I promise you, as you now know, when you remove those foods for a certain amount of time, you lose the cravings and the taste for those foods. All right. So another question to consider is, what habits do you guys have today? What habits that you know, that you have that really fuel your health? What habits do you have that fuel your happiness? What rituals do you have outside of tongue cleaning, which is going to be your new ritual? What's it going to be? I had to think about this because, you know, there's probably a million books on the power of habits, but it's really taking those habits and turning them into your rituals, things that you love doing. So when you consider the oil that you get for your body, maybe love the oil. When you think about your perfume, love your perfume, your skincare, your um, everything. What rituals do you have? The tea that you have, the mug that you have. Often we think about this ashram. I say to my clients, I help them bring the ashram to the city. And there's no need for you to escape, because all ashram living is setting the stage. So when you go there, they set the stage. It's peaceful sounds, peaceful music, peaceful food, nourishing food. The environment is really comfortable. Everything's designed to soothe your senses. So sitting in your homes, look around right now. Are the things soothing? Do they make you feel good? Do they make you feel happy? Is there a place to purge? Because remember, you're taking that all in. And we all have the cupboard or the closet that we know we've got to clean out, right? Well, often that kind of just lingers at the back of your mind. And my dad, as he would always say growing up, a cluttered house is a cluttered mind, right? And a cluttered mind is a cluttered body. So all these really simple practices. So other simple things that you can do every single day. So we now know, especially in this meal cleanse, that hydration is everything. You guys know this. I'm not just going to talk about water, but in Ayurveda, it's the power of warm water. This is what really helps your digestion, your lymphatic system. It stimulates that Agni that I was talking about. It helps to flush out toxins or ama for better circulation within your body. And if digestion is this first pillar, you know, I address this first with all of my clients. your Agni, basically, if you can keep that strong for the rest of your life, an Ayurvedic doctor will say you will be healthy for the rest of your life. So first thing in the morning, try a warm cup of water, warm cup of tea, which really, instead of ice, I really do. I would love to have ice in this, especially in the warm summers, but I really try my best to just do that once in a while and just never first thing in the morning, okay? Because you don't want to dampen that digestive fire. Herbs and spices. So I would love you guys to take a look at your spice cabinet. Oh, was that a comment? Were you going to say something, Jessica?
Sorry, I had a quick question. Just warm water or warm water with lemon? Because I hear so much about that too.
Great question. So the really funny thing about that is a lot of people say it comes from Ayurveda. Lemons don't even grow in India. So they might have used lemon and lime because you can get lime in India. But what I usually do, so obviously lemon is beneficial, so go for it for sure. And if your water isn't very warm first thing in the morning, what you can do is pour half of a lemon into a big thing of water. Take this with you to bed so that it's ready first thing in the morning. And then that way you can drink it after scraping your tongue. Lemon water with lime is great. I keep saying lemon. Water with peppermint, fennel seeds is also really, really good. An Ayurvedic tea with coriander or cumin, fresh peppermint leaves. If you have an herb garden, throw some fresh herbs in it. Anything. The more herbs and spices, which is I'm leading into next, the more medicinal your water will be. Tulsi tea is also really beneficial. If you guys haven't tried Tulsi, Tulsi is really soothing for the senses. Yeah, for sure. And I'm just going to throw in too, I love coffee. Okay, so I'm never going to say no coffee. Ayurveda is pretty firm on no coffee. I've just ignored that. Just no coffee first thing. Okay, no coffee first thing in your system. Always something nourishing, healing. Set an intention. Remember, if I set the intention for this to be hydrating for my body, to nourish, to help my organs function. It sounds so woo-woo, but everything has a vibration, right? So if you give it vibration, it will benefit you with the same vibration in your body. So with those herbs and spices, if you live in a climate where you can grow your own, great. You can get those countertop herb gardens, which are so beneficial. But I would say that herbs and spices are also a big foundation of Ayurveda. So they're prescribed because they are medicinal, right? So it's literally the medicine cabinet in your kitchen, which I posted today actually on Instagram. The specific herbs and spices that your constitution will benefit the most from depends on your dosha, all right? So after you do that dosha quiz, you'll be able to look up specifically what you need. For example, something like black pepper is very pungent, right? It's a heating spice. And these heating spices increase digestive juices, they kindle digestive fire, really great for kapha and vata doshas. But if you're someone like Pitta, who's really fiery and has a lot more heat in their body, then maybe you don't want to use too much heat. You want to pull back on that. And you can use other things that like cardamom or cilantro or fennel or mint. Mint, obviously cooling, cools the body and the digestive system. Once you get more familiar with your dosha type, I promise you'll be able to find lots of beneficial things to incorporate. And I'll preface it by saying that Ayurveda can be very complicated and very detailed, but just pull small things from it. Pull the small things, the really common things that are specific to your dosha, and then start incorporating them and then notice how you feel. But I promise you, you'll likely notice a difference. I'm also going to share with you, Jody's going to share my khichdi recipe. So another mono cleanse that I prescribe for a lot of my clients is khichdi. So khichdi is tri-doshic, means it's great for all doshas. It's very therapeutic, it's easy to digest, it's healing, it tastes really, really, really yummy. It's going to be posted on the Facebook page. And I love it because you can enjoy it, either to break your fast after this meal cleanse. You can even go into another mono cleanse and use it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I'm sure your family will eat it too. I can get it into my little toddlers as well, which is great. And I love it with sweet potato. But anyways, the recipe is going to be on Facebook. So outside of those spices and herbs, the next thing to consider is when you break this cleanse, considering the food addictions that you had, even if it was healthy food. Another one of my favorite addictions is like cereal, right? Cereal is boxed food, it's dead food. And they have really great grain-free, paleo, keto, this and that. It doesn't make a difference. It's still boxed dead food, right? Um, when you go back into eating, I want you to just, take a scan of what you're purchasing, what's already in your kitchen, and treat your kitchen like a medicine cabinet. Ask yourself if you need to make some shifts and changes. And the bigger point about that, I think, especially as we're going back to this return to ancient wisdom, is that we control with our dollar, right? Everything that you buy is either fueling the food companies who are creating and spending millions on marketing for us to eat those foods, or we're supporting the food that's actually going to keep us really healthy and happy and vibrant in the future. And I promise you, the easiest way to do that is to look down at your plate and make sure that 75% of your plate comes from food from the earth. So the cool thing at the ashram is that we eat, there's 4, 5, 6 different options of vegetables, things that come from the earth, things that are fueled with vitamins and minerals and nutrients from the ground, because we know that this high energy food fuels high energy healing and a high energy mindset, and also how they're cooked. So no inflammatory oils, right? When we think about oils, we want to be using something like olive oil, which I love, coconut oil, avocado oil is also really great for cooking. But any of those canola based oils or inflammatory seed oils, they tend to be a little bit more toxic. They will aggravate pitta. They will make you feel more anxious. They will cause more inflammation. And I'm not saying that everybody here needs to go vegetarian or vegan after. It doesn't matter whether you eat animal protein or not. Just think about consuming more of food that comes from energy from the sun and from the earth and from water and from the elements, right? To bring balance and harmony to the parts of our body that need harmony from the elements. See how they go and get in together? You have to trust in nature. It's this ecosystem that's going to fuel our microbiome. And the more diversity that you have in that 75% of veggies on your plate, the more fiber that you have, you're going to fuel this trendy gut microbiome word that we keep focusing on and hearing on, right? Diversity and variety is really, really key. Okay. Movement and self-care. So I was noticing in the Facebook comments that some people at one point might have been struggling a little bit with mindset or bowel movement. Now is really your time to move. Okay. So have some milk, get some energy, and then be gentle with your body. Be gentle. Remember my story about going hardcore, hardcore, hardcore? Well, if you're someone with way too much pitta, you're aggravating your pitta. And always during a cleanse, you want to take it a little bit more easy. So even sitting and doing some breath work or Elena's yoga, go back and rewatch that again, which is so great. Experiencing nature when you're walking outside, taking in the sun, but where are you looking? Look up and receive energy, receive this gift of oxygen. Because what you're going to do is connect that mind and body, which we now know is so powerful. Releases endorphins, boosts our motivation, our energy, and our joy. I don't have to tell you that exercise is important, but I think it's the type of exercise that you're doing. So when you ask that question, is this going to fuel me or deplete me? Find your unique version of exercise that honors how you want to feel. For some of you, it's dance. For some of you, it's yoga. For some of it, it's weightlifting. For some of it could be a Peloton once in a while, right? But I'm asking you to try something new and own your exercise routine as your own. It's not about what these experts are telling you to do. It's not how to get lean thighs or toned arms or that six pack. It's about honoring what feels good to you. The more that you honor what feels good, I promise you, like after doing the yoga teacher training at the ashram years and years ago, people were losing weight and they're like, I can't believe I've lost weight. I've been eating carbs and just doing yoga the whole time. Carbs aren't the enemy, right? Really what a lot of the enemy is us experiencing stress and anxiety and worry every single day. So honor what your body needs. And of course, meditation. So meditation is really key in yoga and in Ayurveda. And you should know that when you go to India and you go to a yoga class, it might be yoga today, but back in the day, it would have been about around breath work, the power of your breath, right? So if you were to take your hands and place them around your upper ribs, take a deep breath in, and I want you to know how much expansion you can actually get. Breathe in. Does it get a little bit uncomfortable? Can you give yourself a nice little chiropractic adjustment? Do you hear a pop? Some people that I work with, when they start doing this, they notice like, oh, there really isn't a lot of movement. It's not about your shoulders coming up. It's about trying to break that imaginary or real bra strap around your upper chest. And if you're not taking in your capacity to breathe, then your nervous system will be in stress. By simply stopping and taking a minute to breathe, to tune into your parasympathetic nervous system, you're cueing a state of rest and digest in your body. If you want your body to heal, to be back in harmony, get into the state of rest and digest. Otherwise, we're in fight or flight. And this is where we know all the damage happens. All right, so I've gone on and on. These are, the key tips to starting to dive into this world of Ayurveda. But I think the biggest takeaways are honor your constitution, honor nature, trust in nature. Ask yourself that guiding light question: how do I want to feel? Is this serving me or depleting me? Because the beautiful thing about doing this milk cleanse is that afterwards you're resetting the stage. And if your foundation, your blueprint is now reset and optimized, then you're actually going out into the world with a brand new perspective. And consider the fact that maybe the things that you're chasing or wanting to create or manifest in your life, the possibilities could actually be greater than what you can imagine. Whereas before doing a cleanse, often we are so clouded with that busyness that I mentioned, especially with the stressors of this past year. Now that the world is opening up again, I just want to honor you and say congratulations for doing this, because you're setting yourself up for a really great slate to create impact. So if anyone has any questions, let's definitely open it up. I'll call in my moderators, or just unmute yourself. If you have a comment or a question, ask away. Okay, so yeah, that coating on the tongue is a real thing. Definitely a sign of digesting and things moving through. And for me, there's but I think that something that you can focus on while you finish up the milk cleanse, focus on things that are bitter and astringent, things that Candida doesn't typically love. So even if you're using some coriander, fennel, and cumin, coriander, fennel, and cumin seeds. Get them as fresh as you can, put them in your tea first thing in the morning and start the day with that. And have it throughout the day to sip. I just posted a recipe, just make it in a coffee, God, I'm losing my words, like a decanter or something. Make it something, it's a big pot even on your sink so that you can sip it throughout the day. Focus on that for sure. Because, Jody can speak a lot more to this, but when we think about these bacterias and viruses and parasites, we have to starve them, right? And if anything, you're probably noticing a little bit more because of the supplements that come with the milk cleanse that are expelling them and drawing them out. Yeah. So for you, breaking your fast, I would definitely use your first meal as khichdi also, and focus on lots of healing teas. And if you can ever just purchase fresh herbs when you get groceries next time, and try to eat them, like literally try to eat them like it's your medicine. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Putting everyone on the spot. You guys think of questions later on, just reach out to me. So I'm most active on Instagram, just Mona Sharma. Just send me a message. Philip and I were going back and forth. We're just like so thrilled to have connected through this community. So I love community. Community is everything to me. So just reach out at any point in time. My passion is just this, and everybody healing, and for all of us to share what we're learning in our own healing journey with other people, because then it catches on, right? Then other people are going to want to do it and want to heal themselves.
Mona, I have a question for you.
This is a big thing, and this is a point of discussion I'm hoping a lot of doctors will bring up, because yeah, Ayurvedic is an ancient science, and here we are in this modern world. Like a lot of the practices, we can't even make that work with our lifestyle today. So we're not creating the same grains anymore. The grains that we are creating because of Monsanto and, gosh, just the way that industrial grains have just come about, they're no longer that full, beautiful endosperm of grain that works as a micro scrubber, and our colon that gives us energy, fast burning fuel that spike our blood sugar often. So I would say everything in moderation. And you have to also understand how it affects your blood sugar. So blood sugar is another really big trend in the functional nutrition world, and how it makes you feel. So if you have a meal with grains, khichdi, basmati rice, and you notice that afterwards you feel lethargic and tired and it's not fueling you, then it tells you you might have to take a break. The best way to really figure this out that I'm working with my clients is honestly to do 2 tests that I highly recommend. First is getting a food sensitivity test, understanding which specific foods affect your constitution. Now, in my world, often the foods that you consume most often is what you will come back with lab results saying that you are allergic to. So chances are right now, if we all went for this test, it would come back and say that we are allergic to goat milk, right? It's just the foods that we're consuming a lot of. But something that it gives you awareness into is, hey, oh yeah, I do eat white rice way too often, or I do have a lot of coffee, or yeah, I'm one of those people, I'm using almond in everything, almond flour, almond butter, almond tortillas, almond wraps, almond bread. Then yeah, you're going to develop an allergy to those foods because we lose the enzymes to be able to digest them. But with that said, my philosophy is that if you're okay with grain, 90% of the people that I work with have a gluten sensitivity because of non-reactive gluten sensitivity. So not celiac, but just inflammatory to the gut. Then have the grains, you feel good. But depending on your dosha as well, you might find that using less grain could be better for you. So somebody, for example, who has a strong kapha constitution would use less grain, right? But see in moderation. So to answer the question, I love using rice. I think that quinoa is okay for me once in a while, but it's okay for me. When it comes to the rotis and parantas and stuff like that, that would still be served at an ashram, not so much, because the wheat and the flours that we're getting today are simply not what they used to be at all. And if we're consuming, like I said, this almond everything, like the craze for keto and paleo grain-free products, then they're impacting our blood sugar, or for our liver, for our kidneys. Having so much fat in our diet makes us feel more sluggish and could make things a little harder to digest. But either way, doing a blood test, when you're considering your Ayurvedic constitution, just understand your biology because of your stress, where you live, your genetic disposition, where you come from, your stress levels, what you've endured your whole life. Understand if you have a vitamin D deficiency, what your calcium levels are like, if you're lacking magnesium, if you're lacking certain minerals and enzymes, because the biggest thing that I can't stand right now is supplements are sold everywhere. But supplements are medicine and they can really affect your body. So only take what you need. Avoid taking what's being promoted or the trends that are out there. Totally. Yeah, you've got to shift and optimize your digestion first, your digestive fire. Otherwise, the supplements won't do you any good. You won't even digest them.
Jody, any closing remarks?
Thank you, Mona. We love you.
You too, girl. Thank you so much for having me. Bye, guys.